You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Best Comics of the Week show. And always with me is Gray. How are you doing, Gray?
Hey up, Jim. How are you doing?
Hello, love. I'm not doing well at all. And people have been going to the channel. They'll realize there hasn't been a lot out on the channel in the last couple weeks. And this week isn't just because I'm a little down on the comics. I'm also down on that I got COVID again. And I feel like crap. Yeah,
you're sick again?
I feel like crap again. I'm telling you, this one, the last time I got COVID was like a year or so ago. It wasn't much. It ended up, this one hit me. I don't know what's going on.
But, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where I'm coughing, but then my chest hurts. So, I've been kind of down and out trying to get some other things done. Also making songs, which is fun as well. It does a lot better than the comics.
You need a bottle of Lucozade.
Yeah, I need Lucozade. And another thing, I was telling you, I need Daily Thompson to give me some Lucozade from back in the day. I was telling Gray that because my mom's from England, and we would go to England once a year, but she would go a bunch of times, and she'd bring back this Lucozade. And if anybody had it in Britain and likes it that year, it's something special, because I hated it. I hated it to the core.
Me too. Such a weird taste.
It had a weird aftertaste. I'm telling you, when I think about it, it just tasted chalky to me. It tasted like somebody didn't mix the thing properly. I didn't like it. I think that my mom, what she did was she'd give it to us when we were sick, so we would just not tell her we're sick. That's all it was. She just didn't want us to bother her.
That's a good idea.
And we didn't want to do that. Also, for some reason, anytime I was sick, she would get me mint chocolate chip ice cream. Ooh. I don't know why, but now that's one thing, though. When I'm sick, I do kind of crave that. But here we are. I figured that I would ask you to join me and maybe get this out, even though, like I said, I really feel like crap. But also what is crap is a lot of these books this week. Not a ton of books on our list. That doesn't mean that your list has to be short. I know there's one big book that people will probably put on the list that I thought was a little down this week. I'll tell you right now, it's Transformers. I know that everybody loves it. This issue was just a little slightly under what I would put for best of the week. I think it was a little bit of a down issue. Yeah. So even with that, it's me telling everybody, please let us know your books of the week. Doesn't mean that me and Gray are the be-all, end-all. We're not the authorities of the best of. These are just what we think, and we'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. Because, again, when we were going through, and I was on the Aficionado show today as we're recording, and we were talking like midterm kind of deal, like what is our best or favorite books from the big two and indie. And one of the books was, What They Say Under the Trees When They're There. I always forget the title. The book that you ended up telling me to read. It was part of my
trees where nobody sees.
Trees where nobody sees.
Title.
I'm telling you, when I go to say it, every time I come up with a different crazy rhyme. It's like Wheels on the Bus. It'll be eventually. But that's one of the books I actually mentioned on that. I never would have read it if Gray and a bunch of other people wouldn't have suggested it. So that's why.
It was recommended to me, as you know, Jim, by people who listen to us. So shout out to them.
And just think, I don't even know the name of it, and I love it. I always get the name mixed up, but that's why we ask people to put their favorites in the comments so that everybody else can see something that's cool. And it's always cool to enjoy comics, not just get on YouTube and bitch and moan, which a lot of it is. And it's not just because, that's the MO or you're trying to, fake the funk. A lot of books stink, and a lot of the big books. That's the problem. I like when you get those kind of littler books that people might overlook, that can take the place of, say, ASM or Batman or, stuff like that should be good but isn't. And I'll tell you, Amazing Spider-Man not on the list once again. We should have like a ticker how many times it's not on the list.
My goodness, Jim, it absolutely sucked this week.
It was so bad. It was so bad. It takes a lot of effort to get worse than one of the worst things I've read. Right? You know what I mean? It just he lowers the bar so much that you're going to have to play Limbo. It's under the ground. You're going to need a shovel to get to that one. But we're going to start off with DC. And one of the things that has happened the last couple of weeks is we haven't had a lot of DC.
Nope.
I mean, we don't have a ton this week, but we actually have 2 DC books. And I'll start with Batman and Robin, number 12, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Juan Ferreira, who I love. he's actually put me in about 7 of his comics, so I'll always be indebted to him. But I think he's a great artist. I've liked him for quite some time. Joshua Williamson, not my favorite writer, though I do love Duke and even Cobra Commander. But the stuff at DC, especially this Batman and Robin book, hasn't been doing much. It ended up where, and the problem is he starts a story and then he kind of gets like 7 other ideas and shoves them in. You had Shush, but then that was a Man-Bat story. But then it was also splicing up the Terrible Trio. Then you have, Mistress Heart. So there's so much going on that nothing goes on. It just ends up becoming a mess. And so when he announced that he was off the book and Philip Kennedy Johnson would be jumping on it, I was actually excited for a change. But
I think a lot of people were when they heard that.
Yeah, I think so. And again, a lot of people really love the Robin series by Joshua Williamson. Now, I'll tell you, I think that he really likes Robin, Damian Robin.
He does,
and he's really, really good at writing Damian in a way that a lot of writers don't. A lot of the writers get lazy and just make him, if Damian's a brat, you stop there. But he's been able to develop Damian in a really good way. But the problem is, even that Robin book, I'll fight with anybody. That story was nothing. You ended up having a Lazarus tournament that really most people don't even remember who won. You ended up having a bunch of nonsense. What was good about it was the character work with Damian and all the other, kids and stuff like that, all the new characters that he ended up, like Flatline and things like that. By the way, Connor Hawk won the tournament. I'm telling you, a lot of people forget because the tournament became secondary. The story was nonsense.
I wasn't reading it, Jim, but I did hear what you said about the character work. And listen, that
was really great.
Lift like an average story, can't it? If you've got good character work,
Yeah, and really cool new characters that kind of reminded me of, you had a lot of that in, say, the Lost Children book, the JSA type book Jeff Johns and all them were doing. I like new, younger characters, and these were pretty good. And Flatline was the breakout character, but when she came into this series, didn't have much to do, and then this is what he does. He adds her sister in there, and it just kind of muddies up everything. But with only a couple issues left, he's decided to have Damian and Batman, but Damian more, go to this island where they are confronting Bane and Bane's daughter, Vengeance. And, of course, Damian was there and watched Bane kill Alfred. And it's been something that's been with him all this time, obviously, and he wants to take revenge on him. Though I do kind of step aside and wish that Damian would mention just once that his father, Batman, was dressed up as Magnum P.I. on a vacation on the beach when that happened, and he might want to take a little bit of, things with him. But he ends up in this issue going after and catching up to Bane. And the big thing is him remembering some, different times with Alfred from when he first showed up and, was pretty rough around the edges.
I'll never forgive Tom King for what he did to Alfred.
Yeah, and the thing is, I even mentioned it because when we talked about it this week on our podcast, here's the thing. Tom King throws a lot of people under the bus a lot of times with the stories. He did say, and I do think it's true, that he was told to do it, but you still did it.
I mean,
it still has your name on it. And it's one of those things. If you have your name on it, there you go. And I would think, in my mind, the way that Tom King thinks is he's bigger and he gets people fired, but he'll always, kowtow to them when they do this thing. But again, this is the thing that drives me nuts with Tom King as an aside. Every time something goes wrong, it's always somebody made him do. Things go right, he doesn't mention the idea. Like a Mr. Miracle, it was Dan Didio who really pushed him to do that and gave him the character, things like that. He doesn't mention that. It's always like, Heroes in Crisis, I was told to do. I'm like, get out of town. Your name was on it. But in this, at the end, you end up having Damian going and has a chance to actually take care of Bane. This is a spoiler, but at the end, he ends up deciding Alfred wouldn't want that. And it was a really good moment. It was a really good Damian moment. And I love Damian. He's my second favorite Robin. I know that some people hate him, but I love Dick Grayson and Damian. And I like him because he's that rough around the edges and he's got an edge. But it's better when, Dick Grayson in the Tom Taylor Nightwing book, like the guy can do no wrong. He's superhero Jesus for pretty much, and everybody's there to help him. So you never can have that moment where, oh my God, I thought he was going to do this, but he actually proved to be a hero. He's always a hero. That's why I like Damian. You never know if he's going to go one way or the other. He'll usually go the good way now, but it's still, you have that edge to him, which I really do like. But then at the end of the issue, out of nowhere, because why Bane and Vengeance are on this island. They were developing a new sort of venom out of dinosaur DNA. Crazy. That was supposed to be like a one-time venom. You only have to take it once, but they figured out that it makes you like animalistic, insane. And then at the end, for no reason at all, I hope it's revealed what she was doing. But at the end, she ends up hitting Damian. Damian's already decided not to kill Bane. Batman comes in. Maya comes in. And then all of a sudden, Vengeance just goes, gotcha. Ninja vanish, ends up hitting him with a dart, and now he's all juiced up. I'm like,
I was going to ask you, what do you think of that cliffhanger? Because a lot of people say this was a great issue until the ending's like, what is going on?
It's over the top. And the thing is, there's a lot of things going on. First off, this book with Joshua Williamson, for some reason, he makes it a full-out Damian book, but Batman does nothing. Even in this issue, gets saved by Maya. It's ridiculous. Nobody ends up saving Batman. I think that what happens in this is that Goliath comes in. He's still on the other side of the island. I think he flies in and either grabs Damian and gets him away from there, or actually it's like gets there to make Damian realize that he can't do that. He was there. They left him off, and I think that he'll come in and save the day. But I liked it, and I haven't loved all the Batman and Robin. I'm glad that Joshua Williamson looks like he's finishing, with a bang. So at least we'll have some good memories of the end. But I do look forward to Philip Kennedy Johnson on the book. But
you got me to read this issue as well, Jim. With it being on your list, like I dropped it like you. I thought, it's not very good, Batman and Robin, but yeah, this looks really good. It is a good issue.
I'll tell everybody. Gray has come in with no big 2 books this week. We don't have a lot of books. I'm telling you, we're going to be quick here. Though we're already going too long. That's what happens.
The longest one ever.
Yeah, the next DC book is From the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives, ! Number 2. The worst title.
You and your colons, Jim.
Yes, really. I can't get the colons out of my head.
There's a Japanese snack called colon, by the way.
Yeah, I'm like, boy, I really crave some colons.
I'll send you some over.
That'd be nice. Please. The best is if you're like, man, these colons taste like, ass. They taste like crap. Yes, written by J.M. DeMatteis and art by Rick Leonardi. And this, if you don't know, this is a continuation. They had that one shot where if Jason Todd would have lived, they had the vote. Here's what would have happened if the vote would have went the other way and he lived. And that one shot was kind of lame. It seemed like a cash grab. You had like a couple pages different. But then they decided to go from there and let's continue to see what would happen. And I actually thought it was going to be a little more lighthearted. I thought like Jason's like, man, I almost died, but I'm pretty happy now. But everybody's depressed. Batman doesn't know what to do. He's worried and upset that he put Jason in that position. So he's still kind of over the top angry. It almost plays out already that even with Jason living, not much has changed. But the idea where Batman says that Jason can't be Robin anymore, that pisses him off. And then they have a narration through.
Well, it would do, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a narration through a psychologist. I don't know. It's like Dev, Dr. Dev. Not really hip on her as much, only because Batman comes. Now, he has to do it. He does it in a selfless way to try to help Jason, because Jason's trying to tell her the stress and all that, but he can't say anything about being Robin. So what do you say? Like, oh, me and my mom were hanging out in Africa, and then the Joker blew us up. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So he keeps pulling back, and he's not going to be able to get the help.
She's like, you're withholding something. You're withholding something, Jason. You're not telling me everything, guy. He's like, no, he can't.
Yeah. He's like, well, yeah, kind of like Batman, the Joker, everything. Like, I was stealing wheels, but yeah, he can't do it. So Batman realizes this and comes to Dev and reveals his identity, which I hate. I hate when he does it, but it is for Jason. It is so mad. And it'd be funny if he like pulls the mess. She's like, I don't know what's going on. Who are you? But she knows it's Bruce. But yeah, he goes, and then we could have went. Maybe he could have went and said, hey, I'm Batman, and that kid was Robin. But Bruce Wayne, he don't know nothing about it. And then just jump out a window. But I guess you have to do this. But she realizes then, and she can help him. But Jason's really upset. Also, the idea that it looks like, well, it does. It's set up at the beginning of this. The Joker will get killed, kind of. And you have to worry, like, oh, it might be Jason. It might not. Who it would be. Again, this is a hyper time, what if type of deal. So you could kind of do whatever, but I don't think they're going to go too far out. But it's cool. It's a cool deal. I'm actually liking it in the way that I like, say, the Chris Claremont stuff or, the Peter David stuff that unfortunately is not going to be going on for much more longer if because he's been sick and hurt. But it's like that vein. And JMD Mateus is pretty good. So I do suggest you mentioned to me that the art.
I wasn't sure about,
It's supposed to be old school looking, Rick Leonardi.
Yeah,
I think that he's trying to get that
scratchy
style. It is a little scratchy.
Sometimes the faces look a bit weird, but maybe it was a rush, or as you say, is it that style? But Jim, I wanted to ask you one more thing about the main cover is freaking me out. I don't like it, but the variant by Dan Murray is amazing.
Cover, I know, and the thing is, fantastic. I'm like, why wasn't that the regular cover?
I know, right?
It looks so good. The one, I'm telling you, somebody get the Joker's finger out of that light socket. Because it looks like he's all of a sudden he's there. He's rubbing like a Tesla coil or something. The hair's all over the place. It freaks me out. But those are the two DC books.
Yeah.
I think that there'll be people who say Green Lantern. I didn't put it. It just, again, a lot almost made it. I didn't put it. And I will admit that some of the backup kind of brought it down a little. But I did think it's well worth reading. And I think it is one of the better tie-ins to the Absolute Power, only because Jeremy Adams has some fun with it, but he also ends up being able to continue his story while also tying in Absolute Power. So that was pretty good, but it's just a little under. Like we said, we have to draw a line somewhere.
Same with me, Jim. I had Gotham by Gaslight issue 3. It was close to me, and I was almost going to put it on, but then I think it's a bit of a step back from the last issue, to be honest.
It's funny because I actually was into this issue a little more, but it still hasn't gotten up to the level. I haven't really liked the Gotham by Gaslight Kryptonian Age, only because I think they expanded too much too quickly in it. And I like Andy Diggle, but I think that it is kind of a little too much.
It's very side character heavy, isn't it? There's no Batman in it, no Superman yet, really.
And there's like such little and it doesn't feel like Gotham by Gaslight. It feels like World by Victorian Age. And,
exactly.
But I like it. I like those things, but I just have to get my head wrapped around.
Yeah, it's still good. It's just not great. Yeah.
So then we'll move on to Marvel. We're done with Marvel. So you have to draw a line somewhere. Marvel didn't have a book for us this week.
No.
We did not like anything. I read almost every book from Marvel this week, and I did not have a fun time doing it. And some of the books were downright awful. We talked about, Amazing Spider-Man. Even things like X Factor just drove me nuts. X-Men #2 I thought was even worse than the first issue. And then all the other things. You had that Iron Fist anniversary deal. I thought that was a slog, though I did like the Chris Claremont story at the beginning of that. But the other stuff, I was
looking forward to the Werewolf by Night, and that was really disappointing.
And what's really weird? That didn't come out this week. We have it in the review copies.
No way.
And I end up seeing it didn't come out, so there's a little heads up.
I didn't even notice.
I didn't know until actually yesterday. Because I was planning on reviewing it and all that. When it comes out next week, they must have made a mistake. But just a heads up, not great.
Not great.
It's not
Sorry,
really
folks.
Good. Yeah. So, and if people do, again, if you like some of the Marvel or more of the DC, let us know. I'm not really digging Venom more so far. It seems kind of lame. So those kind of are downers for me as well. But we'll go to indie. We have 2 indie books, and we're going to start with you because I've been talking a lot. What is your pick?
Okay, this is from Image. It's issue 3 of one of the longest titles out there, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, written by Jerry Duggan. It's got art by Gary Brown. $3.99, as I say, from Image. I don't know why more people aren't reading this book, Jim. I think it's fantastic. It's like pulpy horror. It's got a team up of a Western-like cowboy-style character and a female samurai character. And, it's like, what do you call it there? They don't get on to begin with, but you can see they're going to start, getting closer together. The way he's building their relationship is really pulling me in. But I've got to say, I've got to warn readers, issue 3. There is a crazy scene in here. Just think about the movie Deliverance. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Oh dear.
I'm not thinking of a banjo playing. I'm
not
thinking
banjo,
of other
no.
things. There might be some squealing. That's not.
That might go over a lot of people's heads because we're pretty old, me and you, aren't we? But
I don't know. I think that Deliverance would still be something that most people should cringe at when they think about. If you bring it up, oh my.
But on the other side of that, Jim, there's a 2-page of almost silent panels. Yeah, the panel progression is amazing. Where you've got Asami, the samurai, the female samurai. She's got a bow and arrow. She's about to take out a deer, and it's so good what happens. The way
I've read the first issue and I did really like it. You suggested I have to read the other 2.
I think this is the best one. Yeah, number 3.
Yeah, and I don't know. I I think maybe some people turned off by what Jerry Duggan has done recently, and maybe that's the thing, or they're just, it is a weird title. I mean, it really is. Maybe that's the play, but it is Image, so they should get a little more, play than others, but maybe it'll be one of those that at the end of the year we'll have it on, best of list, and maybe people will start picking it up in trade or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to check it out. You definitely love it. It's like falling in love on the path to gray. That's what it is. He's going to marry that thing. But we'll go to the last book. Yep, there's only one more, and it's Geiger. Geiger number 5, written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank, and I really liked it. I really like Geiger. It's a funny thing. Like, I end up where all the hype is Rook. Rook Exodus has the hype. I actually really, really like Redcoat for the characters, and it's fun. And Geiger's there as like the third book that is really, really good, but it just doesn't have the punch that the newer 2 have, but yet it's there being awesome as well because it's so good. I even said Geiger's my 3rd favorite of the Ghost Machine books, but probably would be my 1st in any other company. Like, if it was just Geiger at DC, it would be my favorite DC book. If it was Marvel, it would be my favorite Marvel book.
We're almost spoiled by Ghost Machine. Like, they're so good at the moment, those three titles.
And I will tell everybody that it was just recently announced that Gary Frank will be off the book for a couple issues, and Paul Pelletier will be on, which some people were like, oh, man, no. That's good, because that already shows you that Jeff Johns and they realize that they do not want delays. So if you're going to have to wait for Gary Frank to get like 3 issues done, they don't want to wait. They're like, you go on, issue number 9, we'll fill in until there. And Paul Pelletier is a good artist. It's not going to be as good, but I think he'll be, his style kind of fits with it. But that was pretty promising for me. The idea that they are going to think ahead and have fill-in artists, because most of the time, especially say a Doomsday Clock, Gary Frank ended up falling behind immensely.
That was oversized as well, wasn't it?
I think that what happened with that, because of the delays, then they had to change the story. Then they had to redo things, and it really became like a snake eating its own tail the way it ended. But with that, though, again, it will be kind of a bummer not having them on every issue, but I'd rather have them on time, because that's something that Jeff Johns has that stigma going right now of always getting things delayed. And it is funny, people were pissed at first. They're like, he can't even do when he did Shazam, he couldn't even keep up with that one. And then he does 3 big books here, and he's always on time because it's his company. But that's what you do.
Can you believe it, Jim? Like, we're on issue 5 already. We've had 5 issues of Geiger. I think that's, it's flown by to me.
This issue, you end up where the big thing was if they were going to save Barney the Two-Headed Dog. They kind of do, but then Barney saves them. This whole thing ends up being like the cast of characters, and Nate, the Nuclear Knight. If I had to vote right now for my breakout character of the year, I think he'd be it. I love him, even though I also love a lot of, I actually like Simon from Redcoat. It's so crazy. I like Dire Wolf.
I thought you were going for the tea lady from Invisibles.
No, not the tea lady. That lady got eaten. That lady's sad Mary, bad luck Mary. But you have this going on, and what they're going against this electrician. And the thing about him, he's a villain that looks like just a science teacher. He ends up saying that he ran the power grid in half the U.S.
He shouldn't work as a villain, should he, Jim? But he's a complete scumbag. He's awesome, but it works.
He plays off like a serial killer more than just like a goofy superhero villain. Just seeing those glasses just looks like a Jeffrey Dahmer. And he's just creepy, right? And then even in it, he's saying in this, I love pain. And he says, everybody I've gone against, they're lame. And I don't even get time to enjoy the pain and the torture. And that's why, then he's smart. So he knows to get that boron. He knows how to put down Geiger. And even says, I wonder why nobody else thought of this. But in the meantime, Nate steps up, and he's awesome. I mean, this guy will keep going at things and just getting the crap kicked out of him, because he owes Geiger, everything. He's trying to be good like Geiger. And the play of this whole book is great because, first off, it's like a Western. It is them, walking the plains. You end up having Geiger almost being like a Clint Eastwood guy. But then you have Nate show up, and he wants to be like Geiger. He thinks Geiger's great, but Geiger hates himself. He has no humanity left. And it's kind of like Nate doesn't understand that he's actually helping Geiger a lot. And you can tell that. And then in the meantime, there's Barney, the Two-Headed Dog, who's the best. He got captured, but then he jumps in. Looks like by the end again, I'm like, how many times can you make me think that Barney's dead?
Well, just look at that cover. We were worried by the cover, weren't we? Oh my God, Barney, are you okay?
And then you see the next cover, and he looks. I'm like, oh, I looked at the next cover, and he's like, oh, there's Barney, but you never know. But he does lick Geiger at the end.
Going back to Nate, the Nuclear Knight. What's good about him is he's a proper redemption character, isn't it? Because he was with the bad guys. He was a villain. Was it Camelot, wasn't he? He was that crazy.
Yeah, he was in that deal in Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas.
Nights.
That's it.
It was pretty cool. And they had that Camelot deal going on. He was a bad guy.
Everyone loves a redemption story. I know I do.
Yeah, and I think that what you get in this, which is so good, is that when he first showed up, I sat there, I'm like, this guy's so annoying. Like, what? I hope that he was. Guys, I just wanted to get. Once he went and looked for that book, like the whole night spent looking for a book for Geiger that he ended up losing, and didn't even know what it was called. So he went through every book to see if he could find the cover that looked like it. You're like, this guy's pretty good. But then again, that caused Barney to get captured. But yet you like Nate, and Nate will do anything. He's jumping in. This guy gets electrocuted like 7 times and just keeps coming back. I think he's in armor. And again, you have at the one point Nate stutters, and you end up having the electrician make fun of him. He's just awful. He's
that was a cool scene as well because, again, you get the villain, don't you? Say, what a scumbag this guy is.
Oh, he's such a scumbag. Yeah. It works really well. Even at one point, you have... Geiger thinks, okay, he's electric. He goes and he hits the sprinklers. He hits the fire deal. And the electrician pretends that it's doing something. He's like, and he starts laughing. He's like, really? You think I'm that dumb? I'm like, you are a scumbag. I like, when you're reading a book and you hate the person so much that you wish they were real so you could strangle them, that's when you know it's written well, because I wanted to strangle the guy. And then at the end, he gets put in a hot dog meat grinder. And then I was laughing. And I liked it, though. I will say, it's a vicious thing.
What a way to go, Jim.
They could have showed... I don't want to show them, like, I don't need to see him go. But some people even said to me that they didn't realize what was happening at first. And then they had to go back because they barely show his foot in that grinder, and then it goes. But I guess they didn't want to be too
Lincoln,
over
you'll
the
miss
top.
it. Maybe they didn't want to be too gory. Maybe, yeah.
I just thought maybe show it a little bit, and that's the best. Geiger's like, you said you wanted slow pain? I'll give you slow, and hits the slow on the thing, and he's just, it's awful.
It's great. What a way to go.
I actually thought, because remember when they got to that factory, it was a hot dog factory, and Nate goes, you think they still have the hot dogs in there? And he's like, no, I don't think. I'm like, I was worried that Nate was going to be like, hey, let's make some hot dogs. The electrician, he'd be pretty good. But yeah, this guy, he's done. But then at the end, you get a big expanded deal. You end up getting like an epilogue that shows the bigger deal that even ties in Junkyard Joe. I won't spoil that sort of thing, but it gives you the big play.
I got excited when I saw that. I was like, yes, Junkyard Joe, come on.
Yeah, and in this, there are a bunch of times, and this was another where they have like a dossier, a bunch of files, and you see Simon Redcoat there as well on the file deal. So that's pretty cool. And again, he's immortal, so he's around. So I want to see him show up at some point. But yeah, I thought it was the best book of the week. I really, really enjoyed it. I always do. But again, if people aren't reading the Ghost Machine books, they're still in the beginning. I suggest reading them all. And you'll probably, again, you probably have a favorite, and everybody seems to have a different one, though Rook seems to be rising in most of the list.
I like that, Rook rising.
Yeah, Rook rising, yes. I'm telling you, for the fun factor, I really, really like Redcoat. Last issue was a little down, so it kind of like didn't pass Rook, but that's kind of the one that I'm kind of rooting for overall. But I'll admit that Rook Exodus is really, really good. But that's it. We're about the standard time with this little books. We dove into things a little more. We talked some Lucas-Aid, a little COVID.
We did.
I'm telling you, I'm here in this room, and it's not a hot room. It's not any bit. It's right now it's 1:00 in the morning, so it's not. And I am I'm soaked. I am soaked.
I am, Tim, but it's in the 90s and it's crazy humid here at the moment.
Yeah, you're in the day. But yeah, I can't. I don't feel
it's
good.
the sweat of sin.
I am not feeling good at all. And then my dog in the other room started barking at one time, so I apologize. I don't know why she was. Barking.
I've got the fan in the background. You probably hear that.
I don't even hear that. I'm telling you, that's
dying,
fine.
Jim. I'm dying.
Yeah. I'm
like a moist towel at the moment.
I might go and take a shower though. I don't know. It's kind of weird taking a shower at 1 a.m. I don't know why.
Do it.
My
Have
mom
a cold one,
went-
and then you won't sleep. You'll be wide awake.
Screw that. I'm telling you, if you want to torture me, make me take a cold shower. I've never done it in my life, and I won't. I
It's
can't.
supposed to be good for you in summer, but I'm like, I'm too much of a wuss as well. I tried it a few times, like, no.
I even watch those people that are like, run into the polar things, or when people, they have the big thing is having that tub, like an ice tub. Screw that. I don't like it. I just hate it. It's just the worst. But that's it. That's the best comics for us for the week. Again, let us know what you thought the best comics were. I'm sure that people have a bunch of other opinions, other books, and even if you like the ones we like, let us know why. But thanks, Gray. As
Thanks,
always,
Jim.
check out Gray's channel, the Wakasashi's TL, so it'll be in the show notes. Get us a little inspired. Me and Gray are both a little down. Every time we go to talk, we're like, oh, these comics. So, go over to Gray's channel and make them smile a little. But that'll be it. Thanks, Gray, for joining me. Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.